technically it is afternoon. So good afternoon, good afternoon. Let me go live over here on Instagram and then we will be good to go. Okay. So today, you guys, we are going to work on finishing the project that we started yesterday. So if you were not here yesterday, let me show you what we started on yesterday. So I fell down the rabbit hole of hat boxes on Pinterest. And so I had this idea. So I went through all of my like popcorn tins, and yes, I have multiples. And I found these three sizes or graduating sizes of popcorn tins. And so my goal is to turn them into hat boxes. And so yesterday we worked on the largest can, and I'll show you guys the final outcome. Whoops. And so we took the largest can and we painted it and decoupaged it using the recycled printer's blocks decoupage paper. And then we used milk paint. I did this after the live. I just went in and painted this lip. I didn't want to decoupage the lip because the can overlaps. And over time, I feel like it would just end up tearing that paper. And I didn't want to do that. But there were some areas when I was painting where I came down. That motorcycle just waits for me to go live every day onto the paper. And so rather than trying to worry about wiping it off, I just went ahead and let the paint drip just to add like some extra, I don't know, grunginess to my can. And then this was the lid. I had painted it the pickle green from our live day before yesterday, just to use up some of the paint. But I went over it with, and this is called Praying Wife, I think is the name of it, milk paint. And then I went over it again with clear wax and dark wax. So this is our first can, and these are actually going to go in my living room. So we're doing all industrial style today. I did want to talk to you guys a few minutes before we get started about options, because you guys know I am all about the options, because I recognize that all of us have the same aesthetic. So I wanted to talk to you guys about options. So I'm making my stack industrial, right? Because that's my personal preference. But I wanted to show you guys some other options. So like if you are someone who likes things maybe like pretty and country cottagey kind of, like you could make three cans. This is the recycled, oh Lord, I forgot the name of this. This was the very first design I've ever done, and you guys still love it. Um, Queen Bee, you could start with like the Queen Bee decoupage paper, right? The script on this one is big, so it would be perfect for the larger can. You can incorporate the pretty pink, and that could be your largest can. And then maybe this one could be the middle can. It's a smaller scale. This was our music sheets decoupage paper, and it's literally, I've already used a piece, just a sheet of music sheets and different scales and different sizes. And then maybe your top can could be in like the paintable floral decoupage design. But the three of these would look really pretty together. Or maybe you just use two and you painted one. Um, these two are similar in like tone, but they're different. This is the ephemeral collage. You have a lot of different papers in there. I mean, a lot of different elements in there, but you could certainly use this to decoupage the largest can, or one of the cans. And then you have the, oh goodness, I forget the name of this one. Natural History is another one. You see the script is a lot larger. Even though they're similar, they're still different. So these would be really pretty in a stack together. So maybe this one, because the script is larger, could be the largest can. This one could go on the smallest one. And maybe the one in the middle, you just paint it and put like some stripes or something on it. Um, these two would go really well in a stack together. You have mechanical and then grunge meters, right? Those will go really well. And then maybe the one in the middle could be black. Um, I have here these, I feel like you could make two different stacks using just these papers. So maybe your stack could be the Harlequin, you know, with the grunge, a floral, and maybe a piece from the dress form. The dress form is really pretty, and you could use a piece from that, like maybe a side piece on the can, or maybe you just want to put these three, and these three, you know, could make up your stack. So I just wanted to show you guys that even though I'm doing industrial, you don't have to. Like you could do the corrugated metal, and then maybe do the crate collage. Like that would be really cool. So when I'm doing my projects, I'm using specific like aesthetics, but know that you can always like change whatever you're doing to match your own aesthetic by using the same things that I'm teaching. So I just wanted to start with that today. But let's get to today's project. So today's project, we're going to start with our second can. And you guys will remember that this is what this can looked like before, right? It wasn't horrible, but it was, you know, a different kind of feeling to it. It was colorful, but that just isn't what I wanted. So what I did last night is I just spray painted it black, primarily because I don't want the base color to show through my layers, and I'm probably going to do a little bit of wet distressing today. You guys will know on the other can, you could see the green, right, peeking through the final coat. So whatever I have on this base coat is going to be peeking through. So I just did a quick coat of spray paint on this last night using Rust-Oleum, and this is just a matte black. I'm also going to be using the recycled labels masterboard decoupage paper today. For the sake of time, I've already, and you get like this full sheet of different labels comes with this paper, but I've already cut out the two labels that I'm going to be using for this project. I'm going to put the round on the top and then decoupage this one on the front of the can. And I have some plastic out here because we're going to use a different method to be able to decoupage these onto our can, even though the can's going to be a darker color. I've mixed together two colors of milk paint. This is the color that we used yesterday, the Praying Wife, Wife That Prays, or Praying Wife, I believe. So I've already mixed together this kind of rust colored milk paint, and I also have mixed together a black. It's called Noir milk paint as well. So these are the two milk paints that we'll be using today. And I'm going to switch up a little bit, and I'm going to be using a matte varnish to decoupage just to be able to demonstrate something different. We've used a lot of the matte medium so far, and so I wanted to bring in something a little different. So that's it. Let's get started with our piece. So I wanted this to, I really love the idea of um, the top of this can is so warm and yummy. So I really wanted to have the can that sits right on top of it to be black. Like that's my hope. But this is really distressed. And so we don't want to have this nice, shiny, perfect black. So we're going to put down some layers of milk paint to kind of make these feel the same, even though they're different colors. And so what I'm going to do is we are going to, I should just leave it all together. I won't though. We'll go ahead and paint the body first. So that way it can start drying um, while we work on the top. So I'm going to put a coat of this rust colored milk paint down first because I want this to peek through my black. So I'm going to start with this color. I was up till late last night getting my whatnot orders out. Um, so I will be running to the post office to get those out today. If you guys don't follow Recycled on Whatnot, you should come and check us out. You can find really cool vintage finds and pieces so that you can create your own upcycled home decor. Now, for these tins, you guys, if you're someone who doesn't like I usually am gifted at least once a cookie tin or a popcorn tin during the holidays. That's why I kind of wanted to do this craft right now because I feel like a lot of us probably have these. Um, but if you're not gifted them, usually right after the holidays, you'll find a bunch of them at the thrift store. And so you can find them there too, just in case you don't have your own. So just like yesterday, I'm going to show you guys, rather than taking my dryer, which is really isn't a dryer, it's an embossing gun. So it's really hot. So my embossing dryer is by Ranger. If you guys are curious about the heat gun that I use, I will go ahead and put up a link here for um, if you guys are looking for the things that I'm using. This is the link to my Amazon store, and you guys can find the tools that I'm using on my Amazon shop. So if you click on that QR code, it should take you directly to my Amazon shop. So I'm going to set this aside, but first I'm going to use my heat dryer inside of the can to heat up the whole can to speed up the drying. So rather than focusing on trying to go around and get everything to dry, I am going to just heat up the can itself. And then once I get it warm, I'll set this aside, and that should speed up the drying enough that it dries fairly quickly. My paint is dripping this time, but for this can, I'm okay. The thing about the milk paint is it is looser, right? It's runnier than what we're used to. You can mix it to be a little thicker, but I kind of like using the thinner coats. I think that it creates a different kind of finish, um, and I really enjoy using it. So, as you guys can tell, because we're using it again today. And I'm going to get that warmed up and then I'm going to set it aside. And you guys can see, look, my paint is already starting to dry from the heat. Let me set that here and let that dry and we'll get the top painted. And ultimately, I'm going to go over this whole thing with paint, but I really want to have this kind of rust color peeking through my black. And I don't know if I'm going to get any crackle. You just don't know. That's the one thing about the milk paint is, and if anybody knows of a way to like guarantee getting crackle from a milk paint, please let me know. Because as far as I know, there's no guarantees. You don't know what you're gonna get. I suppose if I had some kind of oil or something on here, I would probably be guaranteed to get crackle in those areas. But I don't know. If you guys are new, my name is Royce Bell, and I am the owner of Roycycled Treasures. And we are meeting here every day for the month of January to kind of kickstart our creativity for 2026. And so I'll be here every day around noon, or it's noon my time, around 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, doing a new project from start to finish every day. I am not looking at comments because I want to stay focused and be able to finish a project every day. And my goal is to be able to do so within like 20 to 25 minutes. But for two of the four live, I have not been successful in doing that. Hopefully today we'll be able to get done in our time frame. I'll say 20 to 30 minutes. So quick crafts with Royce. If you've missed my videos from the last couple of days, you can catch the replays on YouTube. They're there, and I do have thumbnails on them to make it easy to identify. If you go to my YouTube page and you go to the live section, they'll be there for you to watch if you're wanting to catch up. So yesterday, today, and tomorrow will all kind of be like about the same project, even though each can is different. But once we get past the cans, then we'll move on to a different set of projects. If you guys have project ideas, drop them in the comments. I'd love to hear them. This top is so small, I know that I can dry this fairly quickly. So I'm just going to dry this really quickly and then put on my second coat of this milk paint. I probably could have had the can painted already. Huh? You guys are literally watching paint dry. I'm sorry. But sometimes it's good to see the whole process. With the reels and the short form video, we usually remove this part of the videos, but there is something to be learned by watching, right? Don't want my brush to drag and pull up my first layer, so I'm being pretty generous with my application here. And my brush, I'm like not even, I'm just like laying my brush down super soft over the top of this. So I'm not like brushing. I'm essentially just like dropping the paint on and then really softly dragging my brush around so that I don't pull up that first layer, because I really do want to have two layers of this color. And you guys can see how quickly that paint kind of runs. So I'm going to pick up some extra paint with my brush. Okay, so I'm going to set that aside and let it dry. Let me heat that up though, so it'll dry quicker. Yesterday we spent some time talking about primers and which primers that are available and how the primers work. So if you are curious about how I prep my cans, you guys can check that out from yesterday. Um, I spent a significant amount of time talking about primers while we primed our can. With this one, I really didn't prime it because I used a spray paint that had like, it's a paint and primer. So I knew it would adhere well to the can. I just made sure the can was really clean first before I did the spray paint. I mean, we could have just used the spray painted can, but that'd be boring, right? I like having textures and layers. Because even the things that aren't vintage, I want them to look like they're vintage. Seeing a little bit of crackling going on there, so I'm applying a lot of heat to see if I can like aggravate that and make it crackle a little bit more. You see my can pop, it's because it got hot. Ooh, there is some crackle right there. Butamus, it's not a lot though. Okay, so that's pretty warm. I'm gonna set this aside and let it finish drying. Ouch, that's really warm. And so this one is dry. We're gonna do a second coat of this color, and then we can go over and paint on the black. The cool thing about milk paint is it comes in a powder form and you just mix what you need. And so, um, I mean, paint lasts a long time anyways, but like because it's in powdered form, it's basically going to be good forever. As long as you don't have it in a place where there's a lot of moisture that can impact the powder. And this is how they used to make paint a long time ago, using proteins from milk, and then pigments. Oh, and I forgot to mention on my list of products that I'm going to use, I'm also going to be using wax. I have some clear wax and some dark wax. And it's dark brown wax, not like an ebony wax. Although I'd be curious to see, I do have some ebony wax. Maybe I should use that instead of the brown. And again, my brush super soft, right? And if you want your milk paint to be really smooth, you can just lightly sand in between your coats. After it dries, do a light sand and you'll get like a really smooth application, which is another thing about the milk paint is it's easy to get a super smooth application because it is so thin. So I'm gonna go ahead and dry this paint. And I'm dragging my dry brush. I'm offloading my brush over here, like on the side of my jar, and then just kind of going up in an attempt to pick up extra paint so that it's not running everywhere. But I'm being super soft with this brush. There's barely any pressure. I just want to soak up that extra paint with my bristles. And I'm going to go ahead and dry this. You know what? While this is drying, I want to show you guys a video. If you guys will take a few minutes and watch the video, I mean, it's not even a few minutes, it's less than a minute. Um, I will be right back to talk about what's on the video. If you've been craving time just If you've been craving time just for you, time to create, to breathe, to reconnect with who you are, I want to personally invite you to the 2026 Recycled Besties Retreat. We're gathering in beautiful downtown Safford, Arizona for 3 days of creativity, connection, and rest. All your creative supplies are provided, breakfast and lunch are taken care of, and you'll even receive exclusive recycled retreat only goodies. We are already over halfway full, so if your heart's been whispering maybe, this is your moment to say yes. Click the link to claim your seat. I would love to meet you here. If you guys are interested in attending the Recycled Besties retreat, we do have a few seats that are still available. Let me put up the QR code. If you are on Facebook and you're interested, you can put hashtag retreat, all one word, and you'll get a message with the information. And the link, it is not going to make you like buy it right now. It's just going to take you to a page where you can get some more information about the retreat. If you are on Instagram or YouTube, here's the QR code for the page where you can go and get more information about the retreat. You guys, there is so much value in the retreat as far as, we do breakfast and lunch. And I mean, locally, and I use all local restaurants. So it's food that's prepared that day, not like, and I should say very specific local restaurants. I use my restaurants that are making like fresh food every day. The pizza we had last year, Ben makes his pizza dough every morning from scratch. And so really good food, breakfast and lunch every day. All the supplies that you need to be able to create for the whole weekend is included. I realize when I say swag bag that a lot of you guys might be thinking about bags full of random stuff that you're going to end up throwing away when you get home. But our swag bag has an apron for a retreat apron. You have a custom stencil that's made just for the retreat, a custom recycled paper that's made only for the retreat and that's only available while you're there at the retreat. Um, and we are going to be launching a new product at the retreat, and you guys will each get a free um, one of those in your bag. Your bag is literally worth over $100, and that's not even counting the things that you'll be getting from local businesses, in addition to the things that I'll be putting in your swag bags. And there's community. I have been prepping like some PR stuff for this year's retreat, and I'm going through and listening to the interviews, the exit interviews from the ladies, and the surveys that were filled out. And I'm always moved by the impact that the women report who come to my retreat. So if you are wanting to, you're coming into 2026 and you're wanting to stretch yourself creatively and you're looking for a way to do that, this could be a really good way to do that, you guys. And we're not just sitting down all day either. I jokingly say that, not even jokingly, we're mad scientists. And so we're doing experiments and we're stretching ourselves creatively and we're doing it in a community of ladies who get it, who understand, and who are going to cheer you on. So if you are interested, be sure to check it out. If you have any questions, let me know. You can message me and I'll answer any questions that you have about the retreat. So that is almost dry. I think we're dry enough to go in with the black. I have a few areas that aren't all the way dry. Am I going to be testing my fate if I go in anyways? Probably. But am I going to do it? Yes, I am. I have noticed the areas where I put a lot of paint, I'm more likely to get crackle. Like if I lay down a lot of paint that's pooled in one area. And I'm sure that going over it with my dryer is helping that too. If I can get some crackle in this layer, I'm more likely to get crackle in the black layer, which is what I really want. Okay. And I'm going to start with a clean brush because I really do want my black layer to be black and not end up just being a darker version of this color. And when I mix my milk paint, I mix roughly, I didn't measure, of course, equal parts powder and milk paint. I mean, powder and water. Oops. And you guys will notice how much deeper this color looked on the other project. When it's dried right now, it's kind of like when you work with clay-based paints. It looks kind of ashy, but then when you seal it or wax it, the color comes alive. So this black is going to look a lot darker once we go over it with the wax, although it's probably not going to be like a jet black, which I kind of like. I love using nuanced blacks in my projects. Have you guys tried milk paint before? I'm telling you, this is Sonnet's fault. She painted a tin, a blue color. It was a couple of months ago. And I just love the way that the chalk paint looked on the metal. And so you guys know how you see a project or an idea and you just kind of pin it in your brain for something that you want to play with later. That's what happened. And so that's why you guys see me using milk paint on this entire project. And it is already 12:28. Good night. It's a struggle because I want these to be like quick projects, but I don't want them to be, oh my goodness. I don't want them to be too simple to where they're not interesting. And so keeping that balance. And then I want to be prepared ahead of time so that things can be done, but I don't want so much to be done that you guys miss a part of the process. So getting the time just right has been a bit of a struggle. So I hope you guys don't mind when we go over a few minutes. Or maybe more than a few minutes. I think yesterday was like 40 minutes total. But for the black, I'm probably only going to do one coat. I'm not going to do two coats. Um, and I'm not going to pick up any of that extra paint. I'm going to go right over this. I am noticing that the rust and the black are mixing together a little bit. I probably, if you are working on a project like this and you don't want that to happen, you can seal the first one, the rust coat first, and then go over with the black. I just really want to be able to distress back. And so I did not want to use a sealer because it would make it harder to wet distress. I guess I could have used a sanding block to distress, but that's not the look that I'm going for. So I think this is going to be good though. I am getting some drippies and I don't want those on this layer. But I guess I'm going to have to live with them because you see what happened there? I actually picked up the paint. So I may have been a little bit too generous with my black paint. See if I can dry that enough so it won't run. And do so without burning my hand. That's a whole nother thing. Okay, I don't think that's gonna run. So when I touch this one and it's kind of dry, I'm picking up the black paint, but I'm not mad at that because I'm getting these little distress pieces with the rust color showing through. And so now that we are kind of sort of dry and I don't think I'm going to get a lot more drips, I'm going to go ahead and warm up this tin and set it aside and let it finish drying. Okay, I think that's warm enough. Let's see if I can even pick that up. And we'll let that set aside and finish drying. I suppose I could have painted the whole tin and we could have just worked on the top together. I'll have to make a note of that for our future project. And I'm going to do the same thing that we did on the can and just put a layer of that black right over the top of that yummy rusty color. I really do love this color. It's beautiful. And I'm going to distress it back, but I kind of want full coverage on this layer. I think I started painting too soon on the last layer. Oh no, it's starting to mix. I can see it there, maybe. So if you are doing this, you may want to seal the first layer first before you go over with the second. And I'm going to leave well enough alone. And this one dries a lot quicker because it's smaller. We're going to get to decoupage, I promise you guys. I'm just going to do one layer of the black. And then we'll get it decoupaged and we'll do some wet distressing. And yesterday I talked a little bit about the difference and how you can distress it. If I would have sealed that first layer and then went over it, I'd be less successful being able to wet distress, which is basically just wiping the paint off. I would probably have to go in with some kind of abrasive to be able to scratch back to the layers underneath. And I really love the organic, soft nature of a wet distress most of the time. It's my personal preference. So that's what I'm hoping to achieve here by not sealing it, but I'm kind of dealing with that color reactivating and peeking through my black. So I guess if you're working on a project, you have to decide what your priority is as far as that's concerned. And again, it's not a matter of right or wrong, right? It's just a matter of what you hope to achieve with your project or what you want to prioritize. And I do think that this color is going to help to warm up my black a lot. I do not want any black paint on my decoupage paper, so I am going to make sure that this is completely dry before decoupaging. Let me think about my steps for a minute. So I think we're going to go ahead and wet distress this. We'll seal it and dry it, and then we'll decoupage. I think that's the only way I'm going to, well, do I care? You guys can see my mind is like going in circles right now. Like, do I care if I get a little black on my paper? I don't know that I do. Because I would kind of like everything to look integrated. So I'll put a lot of heat on this and see if I can get it to set up as much as possible. And then we'll go over it with the decoupage. Oh, look at that yummy, yummy crackle that I'm getting there on the top. And those were the areas where I had some crackle in the first layer. So I'm seeing crackle in the second layer right over those areas, which is fabulous. And what's happening here is the metal is actually expanding as it gets warmer. And so that's probably, and because this is just a small piece of metal, that's probably why I'm getting more cracking on the top. And when it cools off, it will actually contract again. It's crazy the way the world works. So I've gotten some super yummy crackle in there. And I am just going to like irritate that a little bit. I'm going to take this dry brush and just really encourage the flaking off. Yes, I love it. So I have some crackling there. So there's still some really small crackles, but then I brushed off like the big flakes that were going to come off anyways. And I'm going to decoupage this paper on top of here. But you guys remember we talked about yesterday, if I decoupage it directly on here, it'll be fine, but that dark paint is gonna, you'll be able to see it through my paper and it'll just make my artwork less visible. And I don't want that. I really want this to be able to stand out some. So I'm gonna use the plastic method for this. So we did a bunny rabbit on one of the days this week, and I painted the back of that paper white, and then I let it dry, and then I decoupage. I'm going to show you guys another way, a different approach that you can use in order to be able to paint the back of your paper so that your artwork really shows up. So I have a piece of plastic here, and this is just a package from a product. This is actually the what I use for my decoupage papers. So it's not like the plastic wrap that you use in the kitchen, right? That's kind of loosey-goosey. This actually has some structure to it, which makes it easier. So I'm going to mist this with some water. And what this does, it enables me to stick my paper to the plastic. And my paper is going to adhere to the water. And I like to wait a few minutes and let the paper respond to the water so that I can kind of pull it out and pull out any wrinkles, right, that are occurring as the paper responds to um, the medium. And then what I'm going to do over here is I'm going to make a mixture of white paint, a 50-50 mixture of paint and varnish in my little cup. And I'm going to use that and paint it on the back of my paper. And I'm just going to mix that really good. And again, that's 50% varnish and 50% paint. And I'm going to paint this on the back of my paper here. And for this one, I'm not going to go all the way to the edge because what happens is when I lay this down on my surface and apply pressure, any extra is going to run out. And I really don't want to have any white paint on my my project. And so I'm going to leave, I don't know, maybe a 1/16 of an inch, if I have to give a number, around the edge to account for any of the product that may squish out. And so because I misted my paper first, this is sticking on here. So I can really take my time and figure out exactly where I want to put that. That looks pretty centered, right? And then I'm going to apply that. And so that way I get the best of both worlds. I get to have my image stand out really well. But I also get to float it on top of dark paint and without having to worry about like measuring a circle and, you know, making it perfect and all those things. And I'm just going to wipe that. Now, what I've been told is that if you do this method with rice paper, that the paint comes through the paper. And so that's just something to be mindful of if you're using rice paper. So I'm going to let this dry. I do want to go over this though. I'm going to go over this with a layer of varnish. I'm going to try to only go over the paper though. I don't want to get this on my I don't want to change the nature of the milk paint around it because you'll be able to see that. I don't want it to look like I just stuck this on here. I really do want it to look like it's been here all the time. So I'm just taking steps to ensure that that happens. So that's going to be my top. And then I also wanted to put this label on the side of the actual bottom portion of my can. And we are not here yet. So let me shoot this. And I'm going to focus on one area. Let's see. My seam is right here. So I'm going to focus on here so I can put my label right here on the opposite side of my seam. And I may start mixing my milk paint a little bit thicker so it doesn't run as much. Oh, I'm getting so much yummy crackle right here. And I really do think the heat encourages that crackle because the metal is expanding underneath the paint. And even though we can't visually see those changes, um, they do impact what happens, right? I kind of want to go around and heat up some of these other areas to see if we can get some more of that yummy crackle. Girl, it is 12:46. I am so fired. Maybe I can't do a 25-minute live. Maybe it's just impossible for me. And I know these other sides are going to dry. I just would like to have some more crackle all around the can. And so I'm going to take a few minutes to apply some more heat to these other areas. Because if I only have crackle where I'm going to put my label, it's going to end up being covered up. And that's no bueno. I'm going to show you guys in a few minutes so you can see. Look at that. See how that's cracking? And in this area too, I have a lot of cracking that's going on. That is what I want. And so in the areas where I applied the paint thicker, and then applying the heat is where I'm getting more of that cracking. So even though this is opposite from where the seam is, I am going to move over to this area where there is like less crack-a-lacking going on. And I'm going to put my label right there because I don't want to cover up all that goodness. Where'd my brush go? Let's. And so what ends up happening is the areas where I have like really big cracks, I'm able to chip the paint off, but there are still areas where the paint is just like crackled. And so I'm getting kind of the best of both worlds here, which is fabulous. And this paint looks really gray, doesn't it? But it's going to turn black when we put the wax on there. So I'm going to do the same thing with this label in order to apply it to here. Let's see. This is the area I identified. I'm going to put the label. I'm just using these two to hold that can in place. And again, I'm going to mist my paper, right? And this is really just so that the label sticks to the plastic. And I'm putting this down face down on that plastic. And you really do want it to like, I need it to be wet enough that it's going to really stick to that plastic. So when I go to reposition it, I have time and I don't have to rush because it's falling off of the plastic. And then I'm going to like give the tissue paper a few minutes to respond to that moisture and just stretch it out so I can get rid of any wrinkles. And then this is a 50-50 mixture of just paint and clear coat. I used a water-based varnish and acrylic paint today because that's what I had here. Again, this would work with any products that you have on your craft desk. So if you have chalk paint and a clear coat, you can use that. If you have acrylic products, so you're using medium and acrylic paint, you can use that. And if you have like Mod Podge and craft paint, then you can use those as well. The premise is the same. And you guys will notice that I'm going around, but I'm not going all the way to the edge, because what's going to happen is some of this product is going to smush, that's my technical word, out. And I don't want to have white on my project. So I'm kind of leaving a little bit so that it has room to smush out. And hopefully I'm straight. And now I can just rub that on there and it's going to stick to my can. And if you have an area that doesn't adhere well, you can always go back, right? And apply some more of your medium. Like this side, I guess I didn't put enough of my medium here. So I'm going to go in, and I didn't put enough here, so it's not sticking. So I'm just going to go in and put some more medium down. And it may be that there's still moisture trapped under here because I'm rushing things. So let yours dry completely before you start for better results. And I'm really trying not to get clear coat on my paint. I mean, it wouldn't be the end of the world, but I don't want to change the color of my paint just yet. And what will happen is I may have a difference between the area around my label and the rest of it if I get clear coat on, because the wax and the clear coat are probably going to impact differently. I think there's just a lot of moisture under here, so I'm having to use a little bit more to get that to stick. But I want it to stick really well because I want to go over this with wax and I don't want to have any problems. So because I plan to go over this with wax, any adhesion problems I need to take care of right now. Because once I put wax on there, I can't go back. Okay, so I'm going to set that aside and let it dry. And what we'll do is we'll finish the lid together so that you guys can see how it's going to look. And then I will finish the bottom part off camera because we are already at 54 minutes. So I'm just going to go around the edge and make sure everything's adhered really well. And let me dry that. And then the fun part is the wax. And so you guys let me know in the comments if you guys are going to try this. Or if you guys are going to take those Christmas tins that you have, you know the ones. I always feel guilty about throwing them away because they can be useful. And I do use some of them for storage, but like there's only so many ways you can use them. And I'm going to encourage you guys to let your milk paint dry really well before you start, okay? Don't be like me, rushing it. But I do want to make sure this is adhered well because I don't want to get wax underneath because then I'll never be able to get it adhered. This edge is interesting because, dang it. There's a big pink chip right here. Ooh, that's hot. Okay, so I have my label on the top and I have all this beautiful chippiness. And then there's some cracking, which you'll probably be able to see better once I wax this. And you know what? For this one, I don't think I'm going to do, should I do the clear wax first? What do you guys think? Because I almost feel like I want this to be dark. So, oh man, don't do that. I should put my clear wax brush in the dark wax because I wasn't thinking. Dang it. I'm going to go over the label with the clear wax first because I don't want it to get really dark really fast. And I guess since I'm here, I'll go ahead and wax everything. And you guys see how the wax is going to really deepen that color. It's not that really kind of ashy gray anymore. And for those of you who use clay-based paint, you're probably used to the colors changing when you seal or wax your paint. Oh, I just love this so much. And I haven't even put any dark wax on here yet. This is just with the clear wax. But I'm going to show you guys something, which I guess it isn't horrible. But you see this spot right here where it's not darkening, it's staying that light color. That's where I got a little bit of clear coat on there. So that's why I'm super careful. If all the way around here I have all those light spots, you can tell that there was clear coat on there. And so that's why I want to be really meticulous. And probably the easiest thing to do would have been to use the other method and paint and dry my label before applying it. But I just wanted to show you guys another way that you could kind of approach the process. So now I'm going to go in with my dark wax brush, which I'm going to apply a little heat to her because I might have to wash this brush, you guys. I'm going to have to break down and wash it a little bit. It's getting hard. So I am going to apply some dark wax. And that's really going to help to warm up that black and even put some over the top of my label. Does this not look like um, a can that you like found in a barn somewhere? Did I put enough clear wax over that? And you guys know that if you're waxing and you're putting your dark wax over your clear wax, and maybe you have an area where you feel like it just got too dark, you can use your clear wax to lift some of that dark wax off of your surface. I didn't even do any, look at that. Isn't that fabulous, you guys? I love this so much. You know what I forgot to do was doing any wet distressing. I wonder if I can. I better leave well enough alone because those colors are starting to pop through. So that's the lid, and that gives you a really good idea of what the can is going to look like. If you guys are up for a few more minutes, I will go ahead and dry this and we can do the can. But if you have to go, I understand. I said 25 to 30 minutes or 20 to 30 minutes, and now we're at an hour one. I'm fired. I'm firing myself, y'all. So I'm going to go through and just chip off any big chips. And honestly, I don't even think I'm going to do, well, let's do a little wet distress on this. Just a wee bit. I'm going to just mist this a little bit. And just do a little bit of wet distress. I don't want to add too much water because I'm already rubbing. And you see how soft it is when you do it this way versus, and I'm not applying any pressure. I am literally just like rubbing across this with barely any pressure and just being patient and letting the paint lift. If I rub on it too hard, then I kind of lose control of the result. So it's best to just be patient and rub super light and allow your layers to reveal themselves. Do one more. Actually, this is a good opportunity. And when I'm distressing, I always think about how something might be used and where you might see like additional wear and tear on an item. It's like telling a visual story about um, the piece. Like you're creating a visual story. Okay, so now let's go in with the clear wax. Oh, wait, I better dry this label first. Let me make sure this is dry because it is not even. Oh, Lord, I got chippy paint on there. I guess it's going to be a part of the deal now because it's on there. That corner is lifting up, but I think I'm going to leave it. And again, if you're joining me live, thank you so much. And oh Lord, it's whoppy jawed. It's not even straight. But honestly, I pick and I find cans like this where the label is not on there straight. So that's my story and I'm sticking to it. That edge is picking up. It's picking up because the paint underneath is chipping. So I may have to go in there and intervene because that might continue to lift over time. But if you're joining me live, thank you so much for joining me. Again, I'm coming on live every day for the next 30 days for the month of January. And I'm doing a project. I say quick crafts with Royce because they're supposed to be quick, like 25 to 30 minutes, but I keep going over. I don't know. Part of it is I do want the projects to be like interesting, and engaging and not just for the sake of projects. I want them to be meaningful. So if you are joining me, you can leave comments. If you're, I'll circle back and answer any questions that are in the comments. But I am not reading comments right now because I want to stay focused. Otherwise, this would be like an hour and a half if I started reading comments. So I'm not reading comments, but I will circle back and take a look um, at the comments. I guess I should turn that off before I hang it. So I have made quite a mess around myself. Let me pick up just a little bit. I have a lot of extra stuff out here. And let's start off with some clear wax. You guys, I love this tin so much. I am not even kidding. Like, I am loving this. Um, I said I loved yesterday's tin, and I do. I love it. But I think I love this tin even more. And I'm just going in with my clear wax and sealing that milk paint. And there is so much chippy goodness and even like crackle in this tin. So I have the big chips and I have little chips and I have the wet distress and I have the crackle from the milk paint responding to the heat. The stuff that we love when we go picking and we find old things like this. Ugh, I know I had a round brush like this one that I was using for my dark wax. I think it's on top of the washer. And so that's what it looks like with just the clear wax. And you guys know, like, I'm going to go in and wipe off the extra wax when I'm all done. But I don't want my final like project to be shiny. So I'm always careful. Like with wax, the more you buff, um, the shinier your surface gets. So if you don't want shiny, just make sure that you don't like rub too much when you're wiping off the extra wax because it will get shinier and shinier. But if you like shiny, then you can buff your wax and you can make it shiny. That's the beauty of us being able to create our own um, decor is that we can make it like just the way we like it, right? There are some areas like this area where it mixed with the color underneath. and it's not completely black, but like even that is fabulous. And I'm just applying the dark wax. I'm going to go in with my towel and kind of buff that out. Maybe if I can find the towel. Okay. So I usually start off just like wiping lightly any excess wax off the top, and then I'll make several passes. Um, and you know what? I'm thinking now that I'm thinking about it, I bet you these areas where it's still light, there's probably moisture still in there, so that may darken as it dries. We'll see what happens because there just may be moisture trapped underneath there. I don't know. We'll see, because I noticed right here where I did some wet distress, you see how there's a ring around it from the water, but that's moisture because I didn't have anything on the towel except for water. Oh, I love this so much. So this is my 10 for today. That is so whopper jawed. That's going to drive me crazy over time, but it's okay. But how fabulous is that? That this started out being a popcorn tin, right? And now it looks like an old crusty tin that I would have found like on a barn pick somewhere. And so that's our project for today, you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed today's project. Remember, if you have questions about the retreat, you can put hashtag retreat if you're on Facebook and you'll get more information. And if you guys have specific questions, you can absolutely reach out to me and ask. I will be here again tomorrow at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time if you'd like to join me with another craft. This is our second 10 from our little mini series that we're doing. And so we have one more 10 to go, and it is this one. And so we'll be starting with this 10 tomorrow. And I don't know what I'm going to do yet. I'll make up my mind between now and then. But I do want to give you guys a visual. I'll take a photograph too, so that and I'll share it. Oh, I was going to say, you guys, Facebook, I mean not Facebook, YouTube has expanded their community feature. So if you go to my YouTube channel and you look on the top, there is a tab that says community. You can click on community and you guys can leave comments there. So like if you guys are working with me, because we talked about this being a co-working opportunity, you guys can post your projects. I'd love to see them. Like if you guys are getting your cans and you're working along with me, or even if you do it afterwards, I would love to see what you guys create. So even if you're not on Facebook, you guys can go into the community section on YouTube and you guys can post comments there. And I'll also be going in there and I'll be posting pictures of our finished projects each day. So you guys can go over there and take a look. But let's like get an eye, like kind of a view of what these are gonna. Oh, see, I only have 2 cans stacked together and I'm already super happy. I'll probably display the side that's all drippy, as you guys know me. But you guys can imagine that these 2 are stacked together. And then we still have one more to stack on top of this. I am so excited about this project. I'll take a photograph and I will post it in a bit. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. You guys, I'm showing up and I'm doing this stuff, but you guys can probably tell that I don't quite know what's going to happen, right? But I say this and I will say it every day: where experimentation goes, creativity follows. You guys, please make time to play in your creativity and experiment to see what happens. Thank you so much for joining me. You guys can find Royce Decoupage paper at roycycle.com. You can find the papers there, or you can find the retailers who carry this paper in their shops. Thank you so much. You guys have a blessed day, and I will see you tomorrow, Lord willing.